As you can see, or at least if you are watching this right now, you can see that I am by myself tonight, which I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to kind of just discuss from my own perspective, because I know a lot of times you hear from some of the other guests and people that we've had on the show. And I wanted to be able to kind of share a little bit more of my insight on kind of the four pillars of what Right Mind initially kind of started out to be, and why I started it in a sense, and what are some of those things that I've gone through in those four pillars to kind of help myself out, or some of the things that I've learned you know throughout my life to help better my situations, again, whatever it may be. So the four pillars of Right Mind, and kind of the reasons why I started the Right Mind in general in itself before it even became a podcast, was music, mental health, fitness, and financial kind of literacy. And the reason I had kind of put all of those together was because those were some of the things that I had struggled with in my own personal life. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only one that possibly struggles or has questions, or just needs help in one or many of those areas. So I wanted to create a platform that allowed people to gain some information, so that it isn't just a if I knew then what I know now type of deal. But it's something that they can get the information a lot sooner. And also, once creating the podcast, it turned into something where you could get a lot of different perspectives, and it wasn't just my own perspective. Initially, we just started with making posts and trying to find all those kind of fun things to share to other people. But if you're able to get a lot of different perspectives from different people and hear just those different ideas and how people work, and hopefully you can apply maybe some of those things to what it is you're doing in your own life. And again, I feel like those four areas, at least somebody can pick up on at least one of them. I know for a lot of us, financial literacy is definitely one of them, that is probably at the top of the list, for us, especially, just in this day and age with, inflation. But that's not what we're going to get into. But, just learning how to manage your money and everything like that. I think that that's just important, an important skill. I talk to teens at my job, and, they're saying that, that's one of the skills that they don't teach them in school. And so, if that's something that I can bring to them, in my job, and then now if I can do it to, maybe some adults, or even some younger kids who may be watching this, hopefully, can, pick up on, learn from, and hopefully just, again, get ahead of the game before, they find themselves in a situation and then they find out the answer. Hopefully they can find the answer before they even need the answer, if that makes sense to anybody. But so again, the four pillars of Right Mind: music, mental health, fitness, financial literacy, if you will. I wanted to start with music, which was kind of the main focus. Obviously, being an artist myself, and really growing from when I first started making music to where I'm at now. I remember even just starting music, I used GarageBand, and I even used the actual game. The GarageBand microphone that they had was actually one of the first microphones that I ever used. And, I just thought that was, how you started, how it worked. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew of studios. I didn't know where they were necessarily, like within my geographical reference. But, I didn't know that was something that I had access to. So, I'm in my basement, I'm recording music, with a GarageBand microphone on GarageBand on a Mac computer, and, that was the thing, that you learned. And then eventually you're like, oh, I can, go to Guitar Center and I can buy a microphone, I can buy an audio interface, and then you obviously learn the cost of all of those things. So, even just starting out, that was just a process that I had to learn, kind of coming from that. And then to just, over time, there's obviously a lot of things that you learned, from my first project to where I'm at now. Completely different process for, what I'm doing as far as making music. But, the as far as like the growth of an artist, it honestly takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. There's things that you got to weed in and out of to really figure out, who you are as an artist and how you want your skill level to be, depending on, how far you want to push it. That's how much effort you should be putting into this. If you're, you just want to kind of keep it simple and basic, well, even then master being simple and basic. But if you want to get complex and use a lot of metaphors, similes, get technical with your rhyme schemes and things like that, you have to put in the work, and that takes time. It isn't something that just happens overnight, unless you're just the rarity and naturally gifted type of person. But, it takes time. And so, for any artists out there that are, either just starting or feel like, they've hit that roadblock or whatever it is of just kind of growth, like look at, maybe some of the skills that you want to learn and invest on and grow into. It takes that. It takes some trial and error. There's been a lot of music that I've made that I was like, this is going to be a cool song. I find the beat, I record it. And then once I hear the recording, I'm like, this is not the song that I thought it was going to be. And, you end up scrapping it, or you maybe try it with another beat, or you rework the verses a little bit. And that's okay. A lot of us nowadays, we're just so into that quick, turnaround time and people's attention span, and we got to, get the music out. But, there's definitely a lot of people, as far as the listener, that are looking for the quality. They're looking for that genuine piece of music. So if it takes you a little bit longer to put that song together, to really make it what it is that you want, like take that time. There's been songs I've listened to and listened to and listened to, and I'm like, it's not where I want it to be. And then again, I've switched the beat, or I've reworked the verses a little bit. And then once I finally did that, I was like, no, that's where I want it to be. Okay, now I'm really happy with it, without being too overcritical, because I know sometimes we can be a little bit overcritical with our music, just being creatives. So, that can kind of make the process a little bit longer. But, at some point, just be happy with the product, and you'll feel it. Like if it's really something that you're happy with, you'll feel it. So, just be happy with the work that you're putting out. Don't just make music just to make music, to get it out there. Like really make it something that you're passionate about, because it's going to show in the music, in the quality and stuff like that. As far as, again, kind of the growth piece of it, one of the things that worked for me was really studying artists. And what I mean by studying artists wasn't necessarily just, listening to their music and rapping back to it, which in itself is a good skill builder, because you're learning breath control, you're learning, maybe how they do their syllables and their rhyme schemes. But I took and studied artists and their habits. I, watched documentaries. I watched and learned how these artists maneuvered in their daily lives, just to see how they function so that they made it work for them. And I tried to apply some of those things, that were relative to me in my own daily life, in order to incorporate all of that. So, that definitely helped me in just studying artists a little bit outside of the music, to, again, just see how they function, see how they work, as far as that goes. So, it was definitely helpful for me, and then, like I mentioned before, just studying their lyrics, studying their song structure, hearing, the beats that they're using and how they fit into the pocket. What are the rhyme schemes that they're using, to, how they fit those syllables in, to using a thesaurus, to using a dictionary, to, all of those resources that you have that a lot of people just think are so minuscule. Like, use those things, use a thesaurus. That's been one of the biggest helps for me, and just switching up some of the words and not being so repetitive with a lot of words, but expanding my knowledge of just words in themselves and being like, okay, like I don't have to use, said word all the time. Like I can switch it up a little bit, which, depending on the pocket that you're trying to fit in, can allow you to fit into that with the syllables that are applied. So, use those little resources. They're a lot greater than you think they are. So, you know, again, I just studied artists, their lyrics, literally would pull them up and just look at them and read them and obviously listen to it as they're saying it, and you know really getting into the storytelling piece of it too, and how they were able to put a story together structurally, and different ways of doing that. There's a plethora of different ways of doing that. So I would study all those different things to keep things interesting and not always be doing the same thing over and over again. And I made it my own. I didn't just try to be the exact replica of whoever it was that I was listening to or studying. Excuse me. I tried to really incorporate it and make it in my own. And that's what music is all about. Music is just growth off of something else, but then the recreation of it. So really just try to study people, study artists that you're passionate about, and how you can incorporate some of those things into your own kind of style. I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm not used to talking all by myself. Usually it's a little bit of a give and take with our guests. So, we got to stay hydrated. No, I wish we were, but we're not sponsored by Liquid Death. But shout out to Liquid Death. This is some interesting stuff, interesting marketing that they do. If you're watching this, they have it, on this kind of cool can, which does look like beer. It is not beer. I've definitely tricked people at my job thinking that I am drinking on the job, but I am not. So shout out to Liquid Death. So, again, with music, one of the best pieces of advice, I think I've shared this on the podcast, but, it's always good to have a refresher, is, especially when you hit those writer block moments, is to really let life happen and really let things kind of settle into your life. I think real music comes from experiences. I think it comes from, like I said, letting life happen, and then just kind of feeding off of that, whether it's good or bad. Turn that into music. Turn that into things that you really care about. And what better place to get inspiration from than your own personal life, and sharing those moments, sharing those stories, sharing those things that are really close to you, and giving that to the listener, especially those fans that are really diehard fans. Like, they want to hear from you. They don't want to hear, maybe the same mundane things over and over again, because, if you don't let life happen, you're probably going to start, either singing or rapping about, the same things over and over again. And eventually they're going to be like, yeah, I kind of heard that on the last album. So, I'm going to maybe hold off, or maybe this is where they fall. Who knows? But just let life happen a little bit. If you feel like you're getting stuck, if you feel like, the rhymes aren't coming, the music isn't coming, let life happen a little bit. Take a break from it, step away from it, listen to, just take a break and just listen to other people, listen to other sounds, listen to other artists. And I can almost bet you that you'll kind of pick it back up, eventually, and find that inspiration, because it's just getting outside of ourselves to find a way back in, if that makes sense. So definitely just, take some time out and just let things kind of progress slowly. And I'm telling you, it'll happen. Obviously one of the biggest things as an artist that we get into is not letting the opinions of others stop us from what we're doing. We always get so caught up in, maybe an artist dissing us, or somebody, critiquing our music in a negative way. But take that critique, take those comments, use that as fuel. You use that as, the fuel to your fire. Even if it's a negative comment, be like, what, I can prove you wrong, and I'm going to do so. I don't need to necessarily attack you on my music, but I can prove you wrong in the creation of my music and be like, no, I can do this. This is something I can do. So, don't let the opinions of others, because they don't understand your story. They don't know what you're truly going through. And, maybe where you were 2 years ago to where you are now, and you're still on that growth path. So, I think a lot of people too, when they look at their favorite artists, like the artist that's maybe just on the peak, in the top of where they're at as far as making music, they started at a lower point at one time. So they have to understand that and accept that. And maybe you're at that point right now, and you're working your way up to where their favorite artist is, and you're grinding every single day, and you're putting in the work, and you're not there yet, but you're gonna get there. So just don't let those opinions stop you from pushing forward and continuing to make music. And then the last thing, as far as music that I've definitely learned over the years, is really just being your authentic self. If you're a goofy person, let it show in your music. If you're a little bit more straightforward, be straightforward. But don't try to mold yourself into what everybody else is doing, because you end up just putting yourself in a larger group of people, of what everybody else is doing, instead of standing out and being your own, again, quirky self, or hard-hitting self, whatever it is may be. Even if you're shy, let that shine, let that be who you are as a person. And just let the fans know who you are. Don't try to just jumble yourself up, because you're going to get lost in the crowd if you're trying to fit into what everybody else is doing. It's just a sad fact of it. So definitely just continue to be your authentic self, be who you are, and real artists, real fans are going to recognize that, and they're going to support it. And that was something that I learned from Self-Made just a couple weeks ago. The same thing goes for him when it comes to screen printing and designing. It's be yourself. People pick up on that. So, it goes for all different areas, but, obviously we're speaking on music right now, but, just be you. And that's all that really matters. All right, now we're gonna jump into fitness. This was kind of my probably my first love. Now it's a little bit of my second, just as I get a little bit older, and the muscles and the bones and everything else, they don't move like they used to. I'm trying to get them back where they are, but I don't stretch enough, so that's probably part of the problem. So if you're getting older like me, or if you're young and you think that your muscles are going to be as springy as they always are, you're wrong. So please stretch, 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 and more stretch. Stretch everything, your hips, your legs, your arms, because like they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you really want to maintain that fitness lifestyle, or even some remnants of it, I mean, this wasn't even on my list of things, but stretch, stretch, and more stretching. And I'm telling you, it's going to benefit you so much. But for me, I grew up as an athlete, so I was always really surrounded by it. I grew up playing soccer at the age of 6, eventually jumping into basketball at the age of 9, to track and field in high school. So being a 3-sport athlete, which was something that was completely unexpected to me. I was 100% down to just play basketball, and that became my new love, and soccer was just kind of something on the side, and track was just something to stay in shape. And then track took me into college, and I burned my legs out, and just all the training and everything that goes into that, which I still love the sport. I'm trying to find my way, kind of back into not a competitive level, but just being effective, in running and lifting and training and stuff like that. But it was just something that came naturally for me. I'm grateful that my mom had put me into sports, and really pushed me, showed up to every single game, and was there and supportive for me. That was definitely a super help in making sure I show up every day. It definitely taught me accountability, and being there and showing up. She was always there, so it really taught me that for later on in my life and just being accountable for, being on time, showing up. She was always there. So, it's definitely something that I took from that, from my mom. I learned from other athletes, being older, whether it's, things that they're training, especially now I'm more focused on just like kind of weight training, cardio, those kind of things, and just staying healthy and just learning from a lot of different people, just like we're doing with this podcast, just learning from different people, different perspectives, hearing different ways that people work out and, what works for them. And again, just kind of applying that and just seeing what really works for me, whether it comes down to working out 5 days a week to 3 days a week to cardio 2 days a week to cardio every single day. It's those kind of things. It's just like the music. It's kind of a trial and error and just seeing what really works for you and what's going to benefit you and the goals that you're trying to get. Do you lift heavy? Do you lift light? Do you do a lot of reps? Do you do little reps? How long do you rest? All of those things kind of factor into it. So, definitely do your research and again, depending on your goal, there's going to be kind of a broad kind of way for you to go, but at least use that and then dive deeper into what you're really trying to do. And again, just try to see things differently, see what works for you. I think the hardest thing for me, just because I love food, is the nutrition piece of it. I still try to kind of eat whatever I want, and obviously it will show in the results. Nutrition is definitely a key part of it in staying not only healthy, but again, if you're trying to reach a certain goal, whether it's, bulking up or even leaning, depending on what you're eating, depending on how many calories that you're taking in, all of those things are a huge factor in, reaching your goals. So definitely do your research, even in the nutrition side of things. I took a nutrition class in college just because I had to, and it was actually really informative and just giving me even just the basics of really understanding the underlying things related to nutrition that helped me as an athlete and then still help me today in just trying to, stay healthy, maintain my fitness level, and, just find really good food. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of good food that is for you, food that is good for you that, actually does taste good. A lot of different recipes that you can try, things that you can get into, that are really going to help you. So, definitely check some of those things out and, see what's going to work for you. Man, definitely different on this side when you're just kind of talking and chatting and, it's fun though. I appreciate everybody that's been listening so far. I appreciate all y'all. Hopefully some of this is sinking in for you. Hopefully this is something that you can kind of take with you. So I appreciate it. And then just one more thing as far as fitness goes before I jump into the next one is, especially if you're just starting out or you're just getting back into it, don't feel like you have to just be like everybody else that's at the gym who have maybe been going consistently for 2 years. Start small and build yourself up. If you have to start at the lower weights, start at the lower weights so that you can get the form of everything, because form is so key when it comes to, lifting and doing it correctly so that you don't hurt yourself. Because I think the biggest thing, that is a crippler is obviously injuries, which goes hand in hand with stretching, because if you don't stretch, then that's just going to cause injuries. So, those two hand in hand, your form and stretching, are really going to help you succeed when it comes to lifting. But again, start small, build yourself up. Once those weights start getting easy, gradually add them in. Don't, start with 10 pounds and then be, the next week be like, all right, I can do 25 now. Like, add 5, maybe 10 pounds and feel that out for a little bit and then go up, and then feel that out and then go up, because it's really going to do its job. So give the process a chance and just keep working at it. And that's, you'll start to see the progress, and obviously just putting in the time and the effort into it, staying consistent, will all in all pay off in the end. So on to mental health. which we obviously know is a very critical thing that is going on in the world today with a lot of people, especially post COVID. I know it was a really big thing even before COVID, and COVID definitely just set a lot of people back. Um, so, mental health is obviously first and foremost very important to maintain, to keep, and, resources are available out there. I know sometimes it's hard to find them. Sometimes it really comes down to it's not easy just saying it. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and say, it'll be okay, it'll be fine. Uh, Everybody reacts to it differently, and we got to just do our very best to help maintain our mental health. And that can come from the people that are around us, the environment that we're in, how much work we're putting on ourselves. What are you, take a look at your life, and maybe some of the things that you're involved in. Are there things that maybe you could cut out or add in that could help with improving your mental health? Some of the things that really helped me, it really was all about the mentality of it all. I tried to, again, easier said than done, and I know it's different for a lot of people. I'm just going off of my own personal experience. I don't want to say that this works for everybody, but really keep trying to focus on that mentality. Was it always easy? No, but really focusing on that mentality of you know having that mentality that everything is going to be okay, even if I didn't know, and but just keeping myself focused in there helped make my mental health a little bit better, because I wasn't just constantly thinking about maybe the negative situation that I was in, or the issues or struggles that I was having. Like, there were times I was homeless, looking for a home, at welfare, you know begging these people to help me find a home, talking with family, trying to find a home. And it was tough. And a lot of times that could have been something that would really bring some people down, and I understand that. For me, I just kept, everything, we're going to figure this out. We're going to, just keep pressing forward. Let's, this doesn't work. Let's try to find something else. And I think that's what really helped me too, was being in that mindset of not not so much not thinking about what was going on, because to say that I completely blocked it all out would be a lie, but I really tried to focus on, how am I going to get myself out of here, instead of really focusing on the problem per se, but like, how am I going to get myself out of this? And I think that really helped me get out of a lot of those situations, because I wasn't just like, all right, I'm in this situation, I'm in this situation, I'm in this situation, I'm in this situation. But I really focused on, like, okay, I know the situation that I'm in. How can I work to get myself out of there? What are the resources that I have? Who are the people that I can talk to? What are some things that I can do to get myself out there? And it helped me dig myself out, because I wasn't just solely focused on the problem at hand. And that for me helped a lot. um Getting out with friends, whether you're going through a breakup, those are challenging times and can still mess with your mental health a little bit. The company that you keep is gonna also affect your mental health. So look at the people that you're hanging out with. Are they benefiting you? Are they supporting you? Are they trying to push you higher, or are they really just doing a lot of things that are going to eventually bring you down, or are already bringing you down? Take a look at that. And as hard as it may be, I'd rather lose friends that are bringing me down, and have I'd rather lose 10 people that are bringing me down, and have 2 people that are supporting me. Because again, it's going to be good for my mental health. It's going to be good for my support system. If I am having a really strong, challenging time with something, I know that those people are going to be there. I know those people are going to have my back and be supportive, and be there for me, versus people that are, maybe half and half, or aren't going to be there when I need them, and be really unreliable. I don't want that. I would rather have those 2 people that I know are going to be there and are going to be supportive, and I can count on them, you know, kind of at a moment's notice sometimes. the other thing, find those outlets. Again, speaking for myself, having those outlets, music obviously was one of those outlets, whether it was listening to music, whether it was recording, writing music, having that outlet to be able to express myself was super detrimental and supportive of, I don't even know if I'm using that correctly, and I apologize, whatever. But it was super helpful for me in having music, there, whether, I felt sad, I put sad music on, and that would help me get through. Again, speaking for me specifically, some people, they would put happy music on to get them out of that situation. Me, I had to really kind of just grind through it, and then it would flip into some of the happier stuff. Or if I'm feeling down and I needed to write it out in a song, hey, let's, put a song together, and that helped get some of those emotions out. If you're a drawer, if you like to work out, if you want to work out, journaling, writing stuff down, find something that will occupy your time, occupy your mind, get your hands going, something that will help deter you. Because if you're just, even just, I wouldn't even say going to your phone. I feel like your phone should be the last thing that you go to, because especially with social media, it's going to be something that's distracting to you. But if you want to go on YouTube, and I mean, it is music, but just playing calming music, playing worship music, playing rock music, playing rap music, R&B, whatever it may be. I would use it for that. But don't start scrolling on social media, especially if you feel like you're just trying to find something for you to do. I feel like that's just gonna keep that emotion going when that you're trying to get out of. So find something that you can be passionate about, that you can enjoy, that will get you out of that situation. Reading is another one. Just something to get you out of there, and working and focused on something else other than maybe the situation that you're in. Again, all easier said than done for a lot of people. I'm just sharing my experiences, things that have helped me through a lot of different things that have happened in my life. It's crazy to say, it's crazy to look back. I was talking to, well, not talking to, but I was helping out at the other building at my job, and some of these kids are 6 years old, and I'm like, man, that was like 20 plus years ago. To be six again, to be more carefree and have less worries, and what was I even thinking at the age of six? I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know if I'm just old, or my mind has been storing a lot of different information. I couldn't tell you what I was thinking at the age of six. And it's crazy, but you know I've been through a lot of different things, and these are some of the things that have helped me. So hopefully, some of these things will help you. And I think recently, for me, the most important thing, especially now, is my faith. And when I am in those situations, I give it all to God. I pray, and I read scripture. I read the Word. I read the Bible, and that is something that has really helped me, because the Bible is full of a lot of it's full of stories, historical stories of people that have been in similar situations, and they've trusted in God, and they've given it to him, and he's been there. And even in those difficult situations that I've been through in my life, I would pray, and I'd be like, God, like, I don't know what's going on, man, but I could really use your help. And I just pray that everything is going to be okay, and everything would turn out exactly the way it needed to be, and I would get through it. And it does take some faith, it does take some trust, and it takes some patience, because it's not always on our time, it's on his time. But it always worked out, and I think that's where my faith grew stronger, and my belief in everything. And I couldn't be happier. Is my life easy? Is my life completely easy? Is it worry free? Is it trouble free? Absolutely not. But having that faith has definitely helped me just push through all that, and knowing that at the end of the day, if I just trust in him, and be positive. Like, I'm going to get through this and everything is going to work out the way that it needs to, the way that it's supposed to. And I'm going to be happy at the end of the day. And it's a day-to-day thing. It's not something, I have, weeks on weeks of good days. It's, I got to take every single day, one day at a time, and get through every single day, sometimes hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute. And that's just the fact of life. And, we just got to take it how it is. But again, for me, spiritually, that is another way, and my first and foremost now way of really getting through a lot of my situations, and just having my faith and trust in God, and giving it all to him. And it really does work. So, shout out to Iglesia Bethesda, my church out there in Billerica. Shout out to them for all that they have done, and help growing me into this. And it's been super beneficial for my life, and I regret no piece of it. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm by no means perfect at all. I will never be, and I understand that, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not here to judge anybody, because again, I'm not perfect. I'm the last person to judge anybody. So, just keep going, just keep pushing yourself. You'll get there. I promise you. Just try to keep that positive mindset. Surround yourself with some good people. Find some things that will help get you out of those situations, or at least in the mindset of those situations. And, just look for those resources. Look for those people that can really support you. And then lastly, as we kind of get towards the end, the financial piece, which, is always the fun one. It's always, how can I make money? How can I earn money? How can I sustain myself? And, being an artist, there's a lot of things that you invest in, just in daily life. How do I pay for an apartment? How do I, save up for a house? How do I buy food? How do I get a car? Like, there's so many different things and so many different ways that you can spin it. Again, for me, budgeting was probably the number one thing that I learned from my mom, and one of the things that has helped me out of so many different situations, from getting out of debt to saving up for things, was really putting forth that budget, really understanding what it is that I have to pay, and then looking at what my income is, and being like, is that sustainable? Is that enough? I've left jobs because, even just the basic needs, it wasn't working, or I'd get a second job. And, it really helped me, pay off those things, and cover my bills. You really have to sit down, pull out the statement from, your bank or your credit union, whatever it is, and really sit down and look and be like, okay, these are the things that I know that are coming out each month. This is my rent, my utilities, my car, gas, I don't know, any prescriptions that you maybe have, any medical stuff that you have, any, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is. What are the things that for sure 100% every single month they're going to be there? Budget that out, add them all up, see what's coming out each paycheck, and then once you do that, like, you'll be able to see just off of that, like, if you just deduct all of that and then see what you have left, then you'll be able to see, like, maybe where you can save, where you can put money, where you can spend some money. You always want to pay yourself too, but if you have a goal of trying to, save for a house, save for a car, whatever it may be. I know those two are always kind of the main topics, but there's plenty of things that you could be wanting to save for. But, figure out what it is that you have to pay for, and then you'll be able to see what it is, the areas that you can kind of work on. Stick to that budget. I know it's very hard, but if you really stick to it, even for like 3 months, you will see such an improvement in yourself. One, you'll know exactly where your money is going and where you need to improve. Or two, you're going to start saving. You're going to see the progress. You're going to see yourself reaching the goals because you'll be able to save money and do the things that you want to do. The other thing that I did, I actually worked with a friend of mine from college who was super helpful when I was in a really, really, really tough time, in a lot of debt and stuff like that. And we pulled my bank statements again, and he's like, dude, just go through and just, with one highlighter, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but like with one highlighter, highlight everything that you have to pay for. And again, this was something that I knew, but I just needed that refresher. And he said, so highlight everything that needs to come out. And then what I want you to do is I want you to add up everything that is not maybe necessary, going to Dunkin' Donuts, buying lunch for work, just random reckless spending, whatever it may be, clothes that you didn't need, whatever it is, just add it all up for a month. So I added up, and like 1 month was like $250. Another month was like $400. And I'm going, and again, this is at a time where I am like struggling for money. I am desperate for money. And I'm going, where is all my money going? And by doing that, I'm going, $250, $400. Do you know what I could do with that kind of money right now? This could literally save my life right now. And I'm over here spending it on Dunkin' Donuts and buying clothes that I don't need, and, taking random trips that I don't need. Like, the money is in my hand, but I'm blowing it on stuff that I don't need. So what I did was, again, like I said, is looking at some of those things that you can cut out. So, I stopped, at the time I stopped, going to Dunks. I started making food at home. I started making breakfast at home, coffee at home, packed lunches, from home. That's where you can save a lot of the money, because, when you go to a store or whatever, everything is a lot more I wouldn't say overpriced, but it's a lot more expensive, for one meal, versus if, you could spend the same amount of money on one meal from, your local sub shop that you could buy at the supermarket and make 5 meals and make a meal for the entire week. So, look into those things. Look into, maybe some things that you can cut out, things that you can save on. I remember I have a Netflix subscription, and what I used to do before, I would have the Netflix subscription, and then I was also paying for the DVDs, which, were typically some of the newer movies, so you'd get access to that. But I was like, even if I can save, $10 a month, do I really need the DVDs? So I lowered my prescription, or what, subscription. I don't know why I kept saying prescription. My subscription, to a lower amount, to where it was just streaming, because I'm like, I don't really need these DVDs. If I really, really, really wanted to, there was Redbox, but even then, I would try to avoid that as well too, because that was just an additional cost, especially if you keep it, for a couple of days. Well, there's, another $5, and that money adds up over time. So I got rid of it. I cut off a lot of subscriptions. There were things that I had. I'm like, I don't need this. Goodbye. I canceled it. Credit cards, canceled them. I paid them off, and I just left it. I'm like, I don't need this. And, I hid the credit card. I hid certain credit cards. I put them away. I'm like, I'm just going to put this to the side. I don't need this. It's not beneficial for me. It's not helping me, and then, like they say, your smaller debts, like, kill those smaller debts and then start chipping away at those bigger ones. Whatever's going to work for you. Look at the limits of what you got to pay per month, and get rid of those smaller debts, knock those things out, and then start putting your attention into those bigger ones. I mean, don't stop paying your bigger ones, but, if you can pay off those smaller ones, get them done, get them out of the way. And then if you can, put those cards to the side and just leave them. And just leave. I'm telling you, leave it open, because you want to leave it open, because having that zero balance definitely helps your credit. That's a little inside thing. Because credit's an important thing, when you want to buy a car and a house. Again, two really important things that a lot of people focus on. But, that helps with your credit, or if you want to get a loan, whatever it is. Those two things definitely help with your credit. So, excuse me, uh, just leaving those cards with a zero balance, just let them chill, man, and just let your credit score rise up. That's definitely super super beneficial. So, and then lastly, just set goals for yourself. I want to save maybe $20 this month. Um, whatever it is, set those goals. Those goals are going to help guide you. Put them on the fridge, put them on the door as you walk outside, put them in your car, when you flip the visor, wherever it is, put it in your phone on your lock screen. Just something visual that you can see and be like, okay, like, I see it. Okay, cool. Like, this is what I need to do. Just those little subtle reminders, just to keep it going, and be accountable for yourself. Hold yourself accountable to what you're spending, and you'll see the big difference. You'll see the big difference. It's important. It's work, but it's definitely worth it, especially if you're trying to save up for something, or if you've taken on something else like music or a podcast, or whatever it may be, or you're trying to start your own business while you're trying to work your 9 to 5, but you still got bills. Like, those things happen, and where's that money gonna come from? Because a lot of the times you got to spend money to make money. So how are you going to save that money to apply it to, maybe something that you're passionate about, or if there's a dream vacation that you want to go on with the family or even by yourself? How are you going to save for all that? Well, put that budget together, put those goals together, and you'll get yourself there. Cut out those unnecessary things. Start making food at home. Start making coffee at home. Even just starting with coffee, I'm telling you, if you add it up, we'll say $3 times 15 times 4 weeks, like, that adds up $60 a month. You could apply that to, a studio session. You could apply that to mixing and mastering. You could just put it away. That's $60. That's gonna add up. So, just start thinking of those little things. Do you need to, buy liquid death all the time? And I'm just saying that for people that, are trying to save money. Can you, maybe fill up a water bottle with ice from home? I know tap water is not always the greatest, but listen, when times are tough, like, sometimes you really do got to make some sacrifices, if you really want to get where you want to be. But would you rather take that sacrifice for a shorter period of time to get where you want to be for a longer period of time? Or do you want to just drag it out and, just make yourself unhappy? So the choice is really up to you. But, those are a lot of things that I've been through that have really helped me, again, in the 4 pillars of Right Mind, not to sound so educational with it, but it sounded pretty cool to me. But those are things that really help me, in my life: music, mental health, fitness, financial literacy, all those things that I have been through. Those are some of my experiences that have helped me. I would love to hear from anybody that maybe has some further questions on that. I would love to share. I definitely didn't get into probably everything. There's definitely a lot of other things, but for the sake of time and just really trying to get down to the nitty gritty of it, these are some of the things that I'd like to share tonight. But I'm definitely open to having further conversations and sharing a little bit more, at least from my perspective, and again, hearing from other people. So if you'd like to be a guest on the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast, just simply go to rightmindwednesdayspodcast.com. Check out the full website. There is also a spot where you can book your own. We do episodes, drops every Wednesday. If there's a time schedule that doesn't work, just DM us on Instagram, Right Mind Podcast, or shoot us an email, rightmindpodcast@gmail.com. We'll reach out to you and we'll set something up. We definitely want to hear from you and, make something happen. And hopefully, you'll be able to share some of your experiences to help somebody else grow. So, we're down to connect people. And like I said, make connections through conversations. So again, if you want to be a guest on the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast, www.rightmindpodcast.com. And, again, check out the website. We do have merch. We have a sale going on right now. 20% off with promo code WRTMND22. If you're watching this, it'll be flashing up on your screen. Hopefully, if I remember. I apologize if I don't, but I'll say it again. WRTMND22. That'll give you 20% off the entire store. All the items that are on there. We got mugs, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts. So appreciate anybody that is supporting. That is going on for the month of October, all the way through the 31st. I believe there's 31 days in there. I should be right, for Halloween. But anyways, check that out. Appreciate all the support. Come on, be a guest. We'll make it work. We'll make it happen. And we'll get you connected with a lot of people. So thank you to everybody that has been tuning in, supporting all of this. Shout out to y'all. I want to thank everybody for your support. My name is Jay Faith. If this is your first time listening, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Probably the best place to follow me, J_Faith Official. Again, appreciate all the support on the music side. But as always, thank you for all the support on the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast side. This is something that is, slowly building and growing and, turning into something beautiful. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are excited to see what is happening next. But until next time, again, one last time, as always, I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. God bless you. God loves you. Thank you so much for your support. My name is Jay Faith. This is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. What's up?